Hey guys, thanks for visiting Nightmare on Fish Street. Today I'm going to talk about how to motorize your kayak. Okay, so you can notice behind me I have my fishing kayak, the Nightmare on Fish Street, and I've made it electric. Okay, so no longer do I have to spend all my effort paddling out to my favorite fishing spots. Now I can put an electric trolling motor on it, get there really fast, troll around all day, really just concentrate on fishing. Okay, it's environmentally friendly, and putting an electric trolling motor on a kayak is actually a lot quieter than even paddling. Okay, so it just, you know, it has all pros. It doesn't really have any cons except for your lack of exercise, but if that's really your concern, then I would suggest, I don't know, go to the gym or something. Okay, so let me get more in depth here and show you what I've done to install a side mount for a kayak. Now before I do that, I actually want to touch on a couple of things. Most people that would install a trolling motor on a kayak would probably do it transom, which means they would mount it in the back. I wanted to mount it in the side because it was very easy and quick to do. Okay, if you install it on the back of a kayak, you have to install cables, and you know, the whole steering thing becomes difficult. You have to install the throttle away from the motor. It's just a whole bigger operation. This I did in an afternoon, and it works perfectly fine for me. Alright, so let me show you. Alright, so the installation that I did for this kayak was actually really easy. I wish I had actually made a video of the installation instead of just me sitting here telling you about it, but anyways, I'm sorry. So what I'll do is I'll tell you about it, and hopefully it's still very illustrative and interesting to you if you plan on doing this to your kayak. Now, as I touched before, why did I do a side mount? Because it's just so much easier. You know, you don't need to mess around with putting steering cables and really elongating all the functions of your trolling motor. In this case, you just stick it on the side. It works just as well. You operate it with your hand just like this. So what I did is I put my board of wood. You just got to make sure. Now, by the way, all these materials were just found around my house. Okay, the only thing I had to go out and buy actually were the toggle bolts. Okay, everything else I found around my house, so it was super cheap. It was almost free to get all this material. Okay, so here you have your board of wood, and what I did is I drilled 2 holes into the gunnel of the kayak, which is, you know, this area right here. Okay, above that, marine goop. Then I put I drilled 2 holes into the wood, put the toggle bolts in there. Now you'll see this little piece of yellow underneath. That's actually a piece of neoprene. Okay, and that acts as a buffer between the gunnels and the piece of wood. And I put marine goop on the top and the bottom, so this is completely sealed from water. And if your gunnels, like mine, are not completely straight or completely flat and they're on an angle, then this neoprene kind of covers you on that. Okay, and allows zero water to get underneath your board of wood. And where do you find neoprene? Well, I had some children's play mats in my garage made of neoprene. You know, the stuff you put down, they're interlocking. And you know, I just took my X-Acto knife and sort of cut a couple of squares of neoprene, and there you go, pretty easy. Alright, so it was 2 holes, then the marine goop, then the neoprene, then marine goop, then the wood, and then I took these 2 washers that I found in my tool shed, and then put the toggle bolts over them, and that was pretty much it for this piece of wood. And it would have worked. In my particular, I have a 55-pound thrust electric trolling motor, and what I did is I first mounted it just on this piece of wood, sort of on a horizontal mount, and that allowed me to raise and lower the motor, but it didn't allow me to tilt it. Okay, so I added this vertical piece of wood using some L brackets that I got at Home Depot. Okay, so I lied, I said that I only had bought the toggle bolts. I actually did pay for these L brackets. Okay, and drilled some holes, put them in with screws, so now it mounts vertically, and not only can I lower and raise the shaft of the trolling motor, but I can also tilt it if I need to. Okay, so that's all that it takes to mount a trolling motor to a kayak. Now I'm actually going to take the trolling motor and just put it on there and just show you what that looks like. Hey guys, I have a storm coming in. It is Florida after all. They don't call it Tampa Bay lightning for nothing, so I'm going to try to rush through the last part of this video and just show you how this trolling motor mounts to my side mount. Okay, so there you have this electric motor. Just sort of mounts on here pretty easily. What I can do is I can take this collar and loosen it. Okay, I can raise it I can lower it. All right. Now, I'm sure some of you have a question of how deep does this have to go in the water? Well, just deep enough so that it doesn't create all that, I think it's called ventilation, where it churns up. You can hear it churning up and bubbling all the water. Okay, so with this, you can raise it and lower it really easily. If you know you're getting close to shore or you're going near a shoal, you know, just kind of raise that up. But as soon as you put it in the water, just lower it until that bubbling stops, and it's just a nice, smooth, quiet sound. And that's the only depth that you need to get, is that depth. Anything lower than that, it's going to create too much drag, and you don't need to do that. Okay. What other tips did I want to tell you about this trolling motor? Oh, here's another tip. My battery is 31 group deep cycle marine AGM battery. Okay, it's really heavy. It's like 70 or 80 pounds. And so what I do is I actually put it closer to the bow of the kayak. Okay, and so what does that mean? That means that I have to get extra length of cable to go to my motor. Now, obviously, the longer the length of cable, the more voltage loss you're going to have as a result of that. So what do? Well, there's kind of an easy mathematical calculation that I found online. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but basically it talks about the gauge of wire. Gauge of wire being how thin or how thick a wire is. And for my particular kayak, I think the distance between the battery and the wire and the trolling motor is probably less than 10 feet. Okay, so I ended up getting 6 gauge wire, so really nice thick wire. Alright, let me show you this. Okay, really nice and thick. Okay, basically I put these terminals on it. Now, you don't want alligator clips to clip on your battery. You want these. It creates a really nice solid connection to your battery. If your connection to your battery is solid, then that again prevents voltage loss. Okay, and then because the maximum amount of amps that this engine or this motor is going to draw is 50 amps, so I have to get, here's a 50 amp manual circuit breaker. So if for some reason, like, I run into a shoal or the prop gets tangled up on something and there's a power surge, this is going to pop, and I'm not going to burn any circuitry inside the engine or inside the motor or the housing, and the battery is going to be fine. So find the maximum amp draw of your trolling motor and get the proper circuit breaker. You know, these are cheap, like 10 bucks, and that saves your whole system. If they ever pop, you just manually reset them. Really simple, and it's like a $10 insurance policy on your trolling motor. And let me just show you how the tilt works. Now, I don't actually use tilt. What I do is I just raise it or I lower it, but if for some reason you need to tilt it, you know, you just kind of raise it. Okay, lock the collar. And that's it. It stays tilted. But like I said, it's a function I don't really use. So this whole piece of wood over here, I actually didn't have to build onto this support. I actually could have just mounted it horizontally on this and just raised it or lowered it. But hey, I built it. It's a feature that I have if I want it. I just wanted to show you guys. Alright guys, thank you very much for checking out my videos. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Your subscriptions help me make more videos. And don't forget to check out our other videos. Thanks again, Nightmare on Fish Street saying good fishing to you.